This is gonna be a fun one because I usually take notes via speech to text, but my speech to text has been fucking crumbling apart, potentially because of a damaged microphone after me dropping my phone a million times while in the shower. Uh, so, uh, so this is gonna be fun. I didn't look over it, but I'm gonna have a fun time recapping this. So I immediately first thing on my note I have here episode Sarsoft. What does it think?
Oh, yeah,
Sarsoft?
that's good.
Is Sarsoft a word?
It does.
Proximity alert. Vessel approaching. The vessel is hailing.
Space.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
Welcome to Left Track, your leftist Star Trek podcast. I'm Eric. I'm rapidly aging. Last time I checked, I'm almost biologically 30 years old. Oh God, I can feel my bones disintegrating through my body. Someone please spare me from this fate and transport me back into my youth. And I'm joined here by Brian.
Hi, I'm Brian Trash, and I am in my mid-30s, bitch.
I'm not too long left.
Heading towards my grave. It's the best.
Riding in a metal hearse.
Yeah, I'm
all
riding in
hearses
a
are metal.
casket, but the casket is actually just a runabout.
I'm on a ship. It's ready to be just blowing up because everyone got too old on it.
Oh my God, I know. Right?
And as always, Zot. Well, I guess not as
Hi.
always, but most of the time, Zots.
Hi, yes. I'm the perfectly built child in a 35. My body may look 35, but I'm actually 12. On the inside,
I have that
extreme
exact note.
telepathic and telekinetic powers.
Hell yeah.
I have that exact note that kid that they transport on board is age 12 and he just looks like he's 35. It's like, why?
I like how Worf wanted to shoot him right away.
That was great. All right, well let's
Worf's
let's get to it.
It's a trap. It's just like, whoa, calm down.
Betrayed us. It's the 35-year-old. Kill him. Worf actually grew up on the Federation colony that's does the Running Man model.
Right.
That's the right movie.
He's been holding it back the whole time, looking at everyone else.
Yeah, Pulaski comes on board. He's like, "Oh God, it's a woman over 40. This is the most dangerous person I've ever seen in my entire life." So the episode starts off, they're headed to some starbase called India Station because they have an urgent need for the Enterprise. It's never discussed what's actually going on there, but Picard says he needs to evaluate the competency of Pulaski. He brings Troy in, and Troy vouches for her, saying that she's the most dedicated professional ever in all of existence. Big own on Crusher, far less dedicated. Now the head of Starfleet Medical. So cool. So no mention of Pulaski's many hate crimes in this performance review that they're doing. A lot of tell don't show storyline, but with such a cerebral concept, how could they fit it in? How could they fit in all of this establishment?
I fucking hate this. I fucking hate this episode because it's just like they go so far out of their way to like show like Pulaski as being like a good like person or whatever that's like dedicated to their craft and like really upholds like whatever the future version is of the Hippocratic Oath, right? Where it's just like, if harm is done, then I must alleviate it type shit, right? And like Picard is like inhibiting this by quoting fucking rules and laws at me, and I'm just trying to save lives here.
I'm
And
just
then,
trying
like-
to doctor, damn it.
Yeah, and then inevitably she gets paired with Data, and she's just like, oh fucking Christ, god damn it.
He does,
I guess-
in fact, call him a toaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Yet again.
just like I don't want to. I have a joke lined up for like later, but yeah,
Okay,
like this
all right,
is
set-
this
set-
shit. Let's keep going.
Please think about the delivery and then just fucking shoot in with it.
Okay.
And it'll be great.
When we get there,
Yeah. Remember to edit this out, Eric.
Shoot in like a gun, shooting me, please.
They receive
Please
a
shoot
distress call from some fucking place, but it's all like staticky. You can hardly hear them, but you can definitely hear someone going like, "Oh God, we're dying." They go to warp 7.
I'm old and I'm dying.
I'm really old. Please, someone help me. I'm almost 40. Oh, it's too late for me.
Record Matlock.
I remember Columbo.
I know exactly where I was
fuck,
at 9/11. I was at work. No.
Don't tape over the wheel.
So they go to warp 7, and like, okay, well, wouldn't you like minimum warp 9 any kind you get like any distress call like that where it's like, oh God, we're all fucking dying, someone help us. But no, I guess warp 7, but they show up and they took so long that all of the characters aged into death. So warp 7 very slow apparently.
I mean, you got to think about the deceleration on the back end. I get it. Okay, you don't want to go 0 to 60 to 0 in like 2 seconds, right?
Well, there is no deceleration because you just come out of warp and you're fine. You're just right there. You just have to stop folding space and you're Gucci.
Damn.
I like
That's
how. So I got a question for the fucking nerds here.
Hi.
Is this the first time where like Picard like shoots his hand gesture?
What?
His little like when he's just like engage, and he just like just like tilts his hand forward. Like is that like a? This is like the first time I've noticed that.
He gets real dramatic with it, but the typical Picard engage is him just sitting like very neutrally in his chair and then going engage, maybe with like a little wistfulness on it, but no, nothing.
A little bit of a finger whip, but
Yeah, no, this one is like it's like purposeful like engage, and he's just like I guarantee you, Eric, go back, watch it, you'll be like, oh shit, and now you're not gonna be able to unsee it.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I didn't take note of it specifically, but I remember it very, very much so.
Yeah, we're too used to it. We're finger swish blind,
Yeah, but I'll keep an eye on it going forward and see just exactly how how finger switchy this one is.
Yeah, I just feel like I haven't seen this up till now where he's just like does the thing. It's like right in Wesley's face, like right in Wesley's face too. Like
he just smacks Wesley like on the back of the head with it. It's engaged, bam. I sort of remembered what episode this was, but I thought this was the last. Here's what I thought, and I think I'm mixing up two different things. I'm mixing up, I think, the plot of an episode from season 1 actually, because I thought that she becomes old and then she goes and voluntarily infects herself with the oldness in order to go and treat these people, and that's how they like kick her off the show at the end of the season. But I mean, that's obviously not what was gonna happen, because this was a very early episode. But now I'm remembering, I'm thinking of the fucking guy that Troy was engaged to, which is like that was I don't even remember when in season 1 that it was like smack in the middle of season 1. We covered that. Go watch Star Trek, Left Trek episode what the fuck ever. They go. One thing, did either of you take note of the command code that Picard had to use in order to take control of the ship where they're all old and dead?
Sorta. There was like, I remember there was one one word in it that I thought was funny. I thought that was funny that Daystar was one of the words in it.
Yeah.
I did not take note though. No, I did not write it down.
This is
Wait,
this is exactly
like-
like the kind of shit that you like that's like the password for getting to like a Bitcoin wallet. It's very similar.
Mhm.
It's not. It's like I don't know. It's it was just. I liked the attention to detail where like he went into like into his quarters to say it. You know.
Yeah.
Instead
That
of
was
like
kinda
just
neat.
like doing it on the deck, you know, where it's just kind of like
Yeah, command codes are kind of used in really weird ways because a lot of them are they're supposed to be like really secret, and having access to them is supposed to be like challenging, but some of them are really very simple. Some of them are incredibly complicated to the point where it's very unlikely a human would ever memorize them. But this one was I remember it, but I'm gonna read this off of what my my notes collected. Flower crown alpha yellow Daystar 27 enabled. I'm pretty sure it was Omicron Alpha Yellow Daystar 27. No, not 27. It was 27. Oh fuck. So you ever need to take control of the Enterprise? There you go. Omicron Alpha Yellow Daystar 27.
That's all you got to
enabled.
remember.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the whole thing.
So they're able to like so one neat thing that they do with these people that are old, like they discover they're old by like taking control of the camera on their bridge and like zooming over and like looking at them and like, oh fuck, they got so old. Riker
yeah.
Riker is like, oh, it looks like they had a battle with time, and Worf speaks up and he goes, and lost. I'm like,
Yeah. What
Yeah.
the fuck was it? They're just roasting these dead bodies.
Yeah,
Like
it's
they're
true.
just
Uh-huh.
like they're going around. They're like enhanced. And they're just like, damn. And it just turns into like an insult, like comedy, like slam on the bridge. Like
Yeah, the fucking captain's just like a human skin tag by the end, and it's like, and you're just like, oh my, and they're just like, damn, that guy's dead.
Yeah, he does look like that. Riker, yeah, and it reminds me specifically of the one of the dumbest lines in any anime ever, which is in Dragon Ball Super, where you describe like the big guy that Goku has to defeat of like that whole series as being stronger than time. So like, oh, maybe Worf was expecting Jiren. Like, who else could win a battle with time and battle against time and win? So they died of old age. I remembered the episode. I'm like, oh wait, okay, so I don't remember how they kill off Pulaski. I guess we'll find out later. They all got examined a week ago, and they all died in that short amount of time. It's very mysterious. What could possibly be going on here? And they all seem they all seem very certain it's a medical issue. It's the only proposed solution at any point in time, as far as I remember. And it really feels like the script writers are writing backwards because they know the conceit of the episode. They came up with it, and so they know like where they have to go. They don't properly like explore things, because if you're in space, if you're in Star Trek universe and you're in space and there's fucking and space is just full up with anomalies, why would people aging rapidly be the first thing that you assume it is? Because you can't find a virus, you can't find whatever the fuck else, so why wouldn't you assume that they encountered some kind of horrifying time anomaly that aged them really fast, which is something that happens. Like, there are time anomalies that are encountered in maybe every series of Star Trek that fucking age people really fast.
Incredibly in universe. Like, it's just, yes, time anomalies exist, and they will occasionally just hit, and some weird shit will happen. Like, a bunch of people just become old or become young, and it's like, okay.
Well,
so that's just
M. Night Shyamalan
kind of
movie.
assume. Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Star Trek is. I don't know if you know that, but M. Night Shyamalan, longtime writer for Star Trek.
If I put M. Night Shyamalan high on the list of people I would have much rather they gave Nutrik to than Alex Kurtzman.
Yo, so true though.
I
So
would have
true,
wholeheartedly
actually.
embraced the hacky schlock M. Night Shyamalan Star Trek.
At least it would have been fun.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. God. I had a recent Twitter encounter with some new Trek people that kind of drove me insane. But okay, so but so yeah, there's a number of spatial phenomena that it could be responsible for people aging really fast. But whatever. They figure the most likely thing is that they've discovered the Omega variant. So they trace it back. They trace this place back to the Wuhan virology lab, and they go and check it out and see what the hell's going on here. You're
like jumping over like a lot of shit, like because like they like because like. Picard
we
is
only
also
hit
using
the important points here on Left Trek. There's no fluff, only killer. 100% of the time.
Like Picard is using this whole thing as basically a performance review for Pulaski.
That's true.
Like,
yeah. Well, when they actually get to the station, there's a real Telltone show moment where the person comes up and it's like, and Pulaski's on the bridge with them, and they're like, Pulaski? You mean the author of this one like really complicated sounding book about virology? And Pulaski's like, yeah, that's right. I'm one of the greatest doctors in the world. Let me exposit a little more about my background and qualifications because we didn't really give me a thorough introduction in the rest of the series.
And this far. And this fucking walking battery behind me is Data. Pay them no mind. They're not important.
Please do not refer to the toaster in the background, despite the fact that someone stenciled a little face on it. It is not alive. The doctor on the screen, like, she's old and she's like, I was 35 a minute ago. One of the first symptoms is really bad arthritis, which no 35-year-old should ever have. It would be very weird for a 35-year-old to have any kind of a joint issue, and that's when we first realized exactly what was going on here.
He just started getting real fucking old. It was weird.
He started getting really old. So they drop it. They establish, oh my god, we're doing genetic research on children. That's what this lab is about. And they're like, wait, hold the fuck on. That's illegal. That's supposed to be illegal. What's going on here?
Wasn't there like a whole war fought? What is this like? The eugenics? Like, did they just like forget about the eugenics war?
Well,
like, isn't this like a whole?
They're
like, we crafted these children. We genetically modified these children to be like absolutely superior in every way. The oldest one is 12 years old, and like, yes, they look like full-grown adults, but like everything from their musculature to their bones to even their antibodies, is just like, is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, like they really did. That's one of those weird things where they completely ignore the actual setting for a second to be like, oh, we've just created more what's it called? What was fucking the
augments?
Augments. We just created augments again.
we just did them again.
And that's fine. Nobody's weird about that. It's like,
yeah.
Wait a second. This is like a recurring theme throughout the entire series that like started with Khan in the original series, and you're just gonna be like, nah, it's cool.
So do they previously establish that? Because I know Deep Space Nine establishes the fuck out of that in a pretty annoying way, but but one of my least favorite things that Deep Space Nine ever did is the fucking genetic engineering stuff. But did they establish up to this point? Because Khan is supposed to be like genetically enhanced, but he's not like. But he's enhanced to have like ambition. He's enhanced to be a great man of history. Like literally directly, he's just supposed to be a great man of history. He's supposed to be like Alexander the Great, and
yeah. I mean, I know what you mean, but the thing is that like,
is genetic engineering banned before this point? Because it really doesn't feel like it. But
I mean, I'm like 100% sure it's supposed to be, because I mean, Wrath of Khan came out before this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. Wrath of Khan came out in 82. I just looked it up. And so it's like, okay, so, and that's years before this. And, you know, the augments were already being like kicked out of society, basically, because because they were seen as part of a part of a eugenics program that
that's like the whole
was
point.
bad.
Yeah, that was like the whole point, I suppose. Well, I think one of the reasons they're exiled is because the Khan is one of the people that did the eugenics war. Like that was like, he was one of the guys. He was there. He was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
He owned non-eugenicized slaves, I guess, which they're not 100% clear what the eugenics war was. But
it's very poorly elucidated. But
we can kind of assume that the eugenics people, they like took over a country and then established eugenics-based slavery, and then went to war with the world, and were almost successful because of just how good they were at being Alexander the Great. They were Napoleon. just made a whole bunch of little Napoleons there, and they were just all so competent, so fucking cool. It's annoying that they have this back and forth, but clearly all these people should be in jail. All these people should be in jail, but it's not established as being weird. So maybe they retcon it. Maybe they forgot. Maybe they just didn't think about it. Maybe Gene Roddenberry wasn't a huge part of it.
You know what? Actually, before we skipped over the whole point, like before, like when she, like with this child, like after like the child or whatever gets born aboard the ship, and Picard's like, you can't possibly be thinking of like, you know, letting this kid's like skin touch our air.
Well, you know, I get it from like an epidemiology background, right? Where, like, you know, it actually is one of those things. It's like, oh, you've brought these people from a quarantine place where they could be carrying or actively infected with a virus into our place where we don't have it. And, you know, that is like, you know, that makes sense. That is like, would be a very common procedure in any sort of quarantine situation, right? But, you know, yeah, like, don't get me wrong, it should have been more than that, considering that we're talking about, you know, welcome to Project Darwin, the eugenics base, and you know, it's like, okay, yeah, you probably should have been like more concerned about that part too, but you know, they weren't just being like, you know, hey, this person's dangerous just by like breathing the same air as us, because that wasn't the case.
There's a lot of really dumb things regarding exactly that here. So it's clear that the virus came on board from the cargo ship, but there's some other complications for that too. There's a lot of little twists and turns from this as well.
Yeah, they thought it was a flu. A flu came from there was one of the people on the transport ship had the flu, and so they thought, oh well, the flu is maybe somehow mutated and causing this or something like that, which turns out, which is very early on disproved, right? That's something they're just like, no, that definitely didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil the rest of the show, 'cause it's all about how that progresses.
There's a like, the people on the ship are already old to the point where they're dead, but like, I mean, the people on the station aren't that much better, so there's kind of like a weird, because because of the nature of the disease, wouldn't they all establish it at the same time, but get the disease at the same time? But if fucking who cares, whatever, it's whatever. It's not that long, I guess, maybe. So they really want to get so Pulaski really wants to get one of these fucking kids on board to examine them because they're supposed to not be like carrying the thing, and I had a real hard time making sense of this. So first Pulaski, and I got it eventually, but first Pulaski wants to evacuate them, and Picard says no. Then Pulaski was like, well, they can bring him behind a force field, and Picard also says no. And then Pulaski was like, well, we'll bring him up, he'll be encased in carbonite like Han Solo, and then I can scan him. And Picard's like, okay, fine, whatever. I don't know why being encased in carbonite is necessarily better than being fucking behind a big like lattice. It's like a really, because it's not perfectly transparent, it's a very serious force field in the Star Trek canon. But all right, so they beam the kid on board, and it's like, all right, we're beaming one male, 12 years old. Oh, phone going off. We're beaming over one male, 12 years old, and Worf's like, and then they see the guy, and oh my god, he's 35. Worf's like, oh fuck, I'm gonna phaser him.
Then the empath's like, no, this is totally a fucking child. Stop. No,
it's a child. Child with weird powers.
I couldn't even really tell that like this definitely was not like a child like at first, because it's at like a very flat angle, but like okay, I guess it immediately are like, oh my god, that's not a 12-year-old. Okay, like the fucking second they see him, like it's not like he's like a giant like gray man. He's just a very like lithe. He looks like a swimmer. He looks like they beam Michael Phelps on board. like Michael Phelps from 20 years ago on board. It's like, oh god, kill him.
What if Michael Phelps was a little bit of a twunk?
Yeah.
You know, with who made really intense eye contact. I've never met Michael Phelps. I can't know if he doesn't make really intense eye contact, but I just assume he doesn't. But the kid, this man child.
Michael Phelps has anxiety,
definitely.
So he can't make eye contact with anyone. He has anxiety because of his freakishly long arms.
Yo, that's a fucking mood.
Yeah.
Michael
Phelps in the blunt rotation, remember?
Yeah. So they're very confident in this fucking like. I forgot. I've tried to remember it because my fucking notes definitely did not pick up. I think it's called styrolite, but it's gonna be called starlight. It's called it's called Styria.
Or sterilite or whatever.
It's styrolite. I think it's supposed to be like a derivative of like styrofoam. It's like, oh, it's a it's plastic. It's a little sheet of plastic that they put over the guy.
Yeah, it's one of those Halloween masks. Yeah, it's one of those Halloween masks that people used to wear a lot that were like
clear.
Yeah. So they're very confident in this stuff because they drop the force field, and then there's 20 people in the fucking room. It's like, you don't even know what the fucking mechanism of the fucking disease is. Isn't it kind of like unsafe to like beam a kid even if he is behind like a solid half a centimeter of plastic? But but whatever. I guess it's fine. Pulaski really wants to fucking unfreeze this guy to do more tests, and I don't really get why. So she's really trying to save the kids. She really wants to save the kids. She's trying to prove that the kids are not susceptible to disease and then can't be a carrier. And so she wants to prove that by unfreezing, like taking a shuttlecraft and unfreezing the fucking kid. But she doesn't even know no one knows even. It's not even suggested what the fucking mechanism of the disease is. Because surely if it was like a virus or a bacteria, if it was a pathogen of fucking any sort, like they'd be able to see it, to figure out what the fuck it is. They have no idea they don't even know it's a medical thing still. They don't. They don't know what's going on. This could be a fucking like alien presence that's doing this like selectively and maliciously. They don't fucking know. So Pulaski, despite not even knowing the first thing about whatever the fuck is happening, is like, no, I'm going to prove that these kids are perfectly safe to be around. I'm gonna beam one onto the shuttle. I'm bringing data with me. So Picard's like, he's uncertain as to whether or not he wants to do this, and it's like Picard seems like Picard shouldn't have agreed to all of this in the first place from where his stance is, but whatever. He approves Pulaski going and killing herself on a shuttlecraft, exposing herself to the ravages of old age, and to whatever.
Begrudgingly, she has to bring, or she brings Data because she needs someone who can pilot the ship. And it's like the stark contrast of her like pushing forward, like, we need to figure out, like, we need to cure this thing, like, we literally can't like let this go, Captain, like, I need to put myself in harm's way. And then like comes the Data, she like meets her on like the fucking shuttle bridge, whatever the fuck you bay or whatever, and she like looks at him, she's like, do you know how to fly that thing? And he's like, well, yes, I've had extensive training. Yeah, I'm sure you did great. Okay, anyways, just get on there.
Yeah, because she's also 100%, because she's not really doing this to figure out what exactly is going on with the disease. She's doing this just to save the children, because the children are so important that you need to risk everyone's lives in order to get them out of there. But okay, that's what Pulaski wants to do. She brings Data on board. It's like, okay, I'm gonna bring the toaster with me. I might want to heat up my egos while I'm gone. Pulaski does some misandry to Picard because she keeps interrupting him, and Picard's like, stop doing misandry to me, you feminist witch. That's a direct line, by the way.
Oh wow.
Yeah. See, that's one of those jokes that does get
I missed
out.
that.
Probably for the best.
Pulaski and Picard so she's on the fucking ship. Pulaski is so horny to make sure that this genetic research survives, even though like, oh, what is this kid's amazing thing? He's got a good immune system and he looks 30 despite being 12. Why is this an advantage? Pulaski is like, I don't even think he can get a disease, but like, that's not really how diseases work, because you can get diseases from a bunch of different things, not necessarily like viral pathogens of any sort, but okay, all right, he's got a really great immune system. I don't really know how it's worth everyone potentially dying over, because, especially considering like they're fine where they are. Like, I don't know why there's a time limit on this, because she's entirely devoted to saving these kids. It's the only thing that she's doing. But
she's hoping not only to save the children, but she's hoping to be able to like, maybe have like some sort of a cure down the line. Like, because like
from the children.
Yeah, like Picard, once again, going back to the whole premise of like what started the episode, which was like this job dialogue for fucking Pulaski. Picard wants to know, like, does she respect
the chain
being a part of the crew? Did she respect being a part of the crew, or does she merely want to do everything for herself, right? And like this is like where he's just kind of like, okay, fine, like you wanna fucking do this, you go ahead, whatever, go ahead.
But regardless, the time limit here doesn't really make sense, because if the children are safe and not infected on the ship, on the station where they are, I don't know why they need to be evacuated in the first place, because surely if they haven't been infected by now, then where they are is safe, and transporting them would probably be not a good idea. Seems like Pulaski should really be focusing on like the disease and not like saving these children. But of course, because the writers know what's going to happen, they know that, oh my god, it's the children that are responsible for the disease.
Yeah, like I get the logic here. It's like, oh, you're talking about like a bunch of, like, she doesn't know that these are adult children at the beginning, right? She doesn't know that these are like fully grown children that are like one would assume could probably take care of themselves if left alone, right? Because the idea of like, oh, we should leave these children in the quarantine so that they can go ahead and keep surviving. It's like, well, they also have to be able to do maintenance on the building to keep it running.
Well, but that
like you just don't want to like leave these
forever. They just need to be in a place until the situation is resolved.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, that is probably the impetus. It might be a shitty impetus, but it is the impetus of being like, hey, you don't want to leave kids alone while all of the adults in a place just fucking
wither and die on the other side of the glass.
Yeah, like the kids need to be able to survive.
Yeah,
which
I'm sure all their needs would have been met, just because of the I think all their needs would have been met just because like they are basically gerbils, like they were in a box.
Yeah, and like worst case scenario, like the Enterprise just like sticks around and like beams them food and supplies if they need to stay in the quarantine. But like it's this there's even more about this episode that doesn't make a lot of sense. But so Pulaski has the kid. He's under a little styrofoam. He's under a little styrolite dome, and and they're like, okay, well, no, he's good. All right, we can go ahead and unfreeze him. And then Data's like, well, I mean, aren't you like worried about doing this actually? Pulaski's like, oh my god, Data, stop woke scolding me. You're a machine. You can't even get sick. And Data's like, that's not necessarily true. I mean, there's all kinds of shit, out there in the universe, like plasma plagues. But I was more worried about you fucking racist bitch.
Which threw her off guard. Like, she's just like she's still just like, oh, huh.
Oh, you're worried about me.
Oh, you're worried about me. Oh, I see.
You're more empathetic than I am. Oh God.
Yeah. After she like had just like given him shit about his quote unquote bedside manner, like she's just like, you need to work on your bedside manner. She like snatches the fucking out of his hands, the
tricorder.
Yeah, like the thing that they look at to like. You know what I'm talking about. The scanner, the body scanner.
Tricorder dots.
Yeah, whatever.
They use it to tricord things.
She snatches it out of his hand, and then he's just like, well, yeah, but what about you? And she's just like, oh my god. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole? One thing I forgot to mention is that so Brian is like O'Brien on the transporter is kind of monitoring the situation, and the guy that's actually doing the transporting, he puts a lot of jazz on it. He's like boop boop flick, like Galaxy Quest style. It's great. I wonder how they like time that up, because it also goes with like things that are being displayed on the screen. We'll have to think about that. Zots, I can hear your fucking clicking.
Sorry.
Stop clicking. All right, good, no clicking.
Okay.
So maximum strength, you son of a bitch. They unfreeze him in a little bit of electricity. Pulaski and they're like, oh yeah, all systems are normal, and Data and Pulaski's like, oh my god, are you being reverse racist right now? I can't believe you're gonna be a reverse racist to me and talk to me in your fucking machine language and say my systems are normal instead of saying that I'm healthy and giving me a lollipop like a doctor. You gotta work on your bedside manner, you inhuman beast. But then she can't even get finished with her rant, where she tries to desperately define what the word woke means, and she has incredibly severe arthritis in her elbow. She goes, oh god,
it just hits like a fucking brick. It's like, oh my god, did you just break your arm? It's like, no, it's my joint seizing up. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, can you even imagine? And it's like this was real fucking stupid. She still doesn't even know what the disease is. But like, it could be like psychic residue. It could be a ghost that are haunting these kids. We don't know what it is. But she's like, well, it looks like I did absolutely no precautions. I just trusted my gut, and I was wrong. Now I'm going to quickly age and then die because my body surpassed 50 years old. So now Data is under fucking quarantine too. He has to be, and they're like, well, it might as well fucking go down to the place. So Troy is like saying, well, so they're trying to deal with the situation, and Troy's like, well, we gotta bring her and Data back, and she starts assuming things about what the disease is, like Data can't be a carrier, like. And the only one that's fucking against that points out that they don't know what the fuck is going on is Picard. And then fucking before we even know what it is, Chief O'Brien, Godsend fucking O'Brien here, comes up with the most amazing use of a transporter ever conceived of, where you can reverse a serious illness by using data stored in the transporter, but not even data stored in the transporter, just any kind of genetic material that from any fucking point. It could even be a long time ago, because they go back and try to get her transporter trace from previous. It's just, so they can reverse the condition of the fucking disease, and spoilers, it works. And it's just another one of these fucking early TNG things that they say about the transporter or whatever other technology that make any fucking sense. Like, now the transporter can cure any disease. Cool.
Remember when I was talking about how it's like the respawn thing system from Borderlands, like yeah, it's literally that. It's just like it's a copy of yourself. You don't exist. Like,
no, you're right.
What are you? What are you? Every time you're teleported.
You're right, but you're also wrong, because like they can't do this at like any other point, except when sometimes they can, like in a previous episode where Picard transports himself into energy, and then as energy comes back into the transporter in order to rematerialize himself with no energy, with no knowledge of what just happened. It's all over the fucking place with TNG. Memory alpha nerds are their minds are being blown rewatching this episode, because without realizing that this functionality is retcon. This does not make sense. It's obviously retcon. Just come on.
Yeah. It's like, cool. You grab the pattern from the planet, you bring it up, you then fuck with the DNA somehow in the pattern buffer.
You separate the DNA that matches from the DNA that has been altered. So you're using the transporter to like
no. You're using the transporter to change their. No, they're literally changing their fucking DNA via not even a transporter trace, so not even going back through like the information stored in like the memory of the transporter.
No, they're using her good DNA before she left.
But they're not separating it back and forth. They're changing her DNA back to what it was at the point where they get this hair follicle, and we'll discuss that in a minute here. But so it becomes immediately apparent that the children are the cause of the illness, because we established that they're telepathic, because the kid wakes up and stares deep into Pulaski's eyes, and it's like, hello, can you understand me? But in his mind, like, we at never point hear this child speak, because they didn't want to have to pay another actor to open his mouth, so he's communicating telepathically. Very smart.
I love how Data's like, doctor, he didn't say anything, and she's just like, you stupid fucking refrigerator. No, this is, how dare you say that? He's talking to me directly into my mind, you robot.
Yeah, not that you can understand, not possessing a mind. So yeah, they go onto the station, and the humans are also, not only do they have telepathy, they have fucking telekinesis. They have mental control over the very universe itself.
They are literally playing 3D chess.
Literally.
So it becomes clear that the children are using the illness, and the reason is fucking ridiculous. So Pulaski's like, okay, so what if the immune system detects, so they have a really amazing immune system, what if that immune system detects that there's a disease in the air? And I'm just here thinking, how would their immune system detect if there's a disease in the air? I guess their immune system is also telepathic, but apparently what actually happens is that they just fucking shoot out antibodies from their body to go attack viruses, that just attack pathogens that are just out in the air, and the doctor's like proud of this. It's like, no, obviously a good immune system would be proactive and go and eliminate disease around it.
They literally
wow,
made,
what a genius.
they literally made like a fucking like white supremacist wet dream. Like this is like what like crafting the Ubermensch was supposed to be. Like, it instantly goes out. It is the perfect white man that can like go drop down into a space and
they're so
immediately
that they just cuck everyone in their vicinity.
They just immediately eradicate with just like their presence anything lesser than them. Like it's fucking wild.
It's bad eugenics. It's really bad eugenics.
Yeah, well, it's fucking, but it's fucking, because they're not supposed to actually. So their immune system isn't supposed to actively do this. She just had the grand idea of like, oh, what if are these genetically enhanced children can do vaccine shedding to get to. Right. It is fucking insane. Why would this even be something that you want? Why would you want a 12-year-old to age really fast, and why would you want a radiative immune system?
Well, I mean, getting a 12-year-old to age to adulthood is like, I guess I get it. It's like if you're trying to make super soldiers or something like that. But like, you're not.
You want like pod people, like the Jemadar.
Yeah, but like I get it with the like if it wasn't for like the mishap. Like, the idea of having, like, humans that walk around and just, like, clean up dangerous pathogens by being near them. It's like, okay, that'd be sick. I would love it if people had immune systems that would actively protect the community around them.
But just gotta eat more. It's gotta eat a little bit more.
Yeah. They just drop it in and bam, coronavirus. Fucking
exactly. It's done.
Fake.
It's like, oh, what if you just had some people that could just walk around and just like they just deal with all the viruses, and then nobody else has to, and it's like, oh, that's fucking sick. Let's go.
Yeah, well, they tried to do this in China. I mean, you know.
Yeah, that's an act of
apparently
research.
they didn't see this episode of Star Trek. They didn't learn.
They didn't know, and so they ended up creating. This is actually what value add. No, what's that called? This is what the research that caused coronavirus is actually.
Oh, gain of function research.
Gain of function. Thank you. Yeah, this is just a gain of function lab gone awry.
Yeah, they're not actually doing genetic engineering. They're just trying to breed a virus that happens to like make people better when you like infuse it into their DNA. So they're not producing antibodies. They're producing more viruses, which is effectively what the antibodies become. But I guess
because
you can't scan for virus.
Yeah, the antibodies end up like getting turned on by the flu that came in, and then all of a sudden the antibodies are just flying out and attacking anything that isn't like the body that's in them, because naturally that is actually what would happen with an immune system is if you like, it's like, you know how if people get implanted organs and stuff from other people, they have to take an immunosuppressant to like stop their body from just destroying that thing. It's the same concept. It's just like, oh, your immune system is now everywhere, so it's just gonna start attacking fucking everyone else.
Well, if we want to
just shoot my white blood cells all over the place.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And if we want to, I don't want to get like too far into the whole immune system thing, but this also like doesn't make sense because like of what antibodies are, and because turns out your immune system actually incredibly complicated, made up of hundreds of different different cells, each with
True.
individual roles to play all throughout like different parts of your body. And so, but this is the very simplistic understanding of the immune system in this episode. It was like, oh yes, they make antibodies. Antibodies are the things that kill viruses. Like, oh, okay, cool.
No.
Yeah. To show these writers cells at work, please get them some fucking education in biology.
Right.
Come on. So that's fucking stupid. So like, okay, having great immune system and having like telepathy and telekinesis, that rules. Okay, I can see why you want to do that. Going aging really quick and having an immune system, like imagine these kids are just like, because it's not phrased like they have an immune system to like help other people. It's phrased like, oh no, they don't wait for an attack, they go on the attack. And so can you imagine like one of these kids like taking a hike in the woods and they die from like anaphylactic shock because their immune system is just going fucking ham on all the dirt around them. They can't go onto any planets with like microorganisms because their immune system just like flies into all the trees and flora and fauna, into the very ground itself, in order to eliminate any possible threats. And after like a 5-minute hike, this Michael Phelps looking kid is just fucking dead on the earth, on the ground. He's just a shriveled husk because the immune system went too ham and tried to kill every microorganism in the soil beneath his feet. But okay, cool. This is all cool. So that's dumb. It's weird how they're it's like contagious. Like, why are the antibodies contagious? Are the antibodies acting like viruses and they're like propagating themselves with like the host cells? But we're gonna know that's not what's happening. They're just changing everyone's DNA to be more like theirs. And because it's doing that, it makes them old. It like ages them up real quick because that's just in their coding. It's just, okay, the moment that you get genetically engineered, you just age up real quick. You age up real fast. All right, that's good. Great.
Do they die young too? Is that what happens?
Well, no, because apparently their children would be fine. Like, so apparently any children that get it is gonna be okay. Because they'll just be like 30 and then they'll just continue living their lives like the movie Big, or Shazam, I guess, more recently.
Yeah.
But
Topical.
Yes, topical. Yeah. Shazam 2 now in theaters. Maybe did it do well? Who knows? Did it crap? Probably. The psychic children are just gonna have to be left alone forever on the children. Data and Pulaski are having a final conversation because Pulaski is about to die. She's 70 years old, and she says, "Oh, you're," and you can tell because she has like really thick old age makeup and a white curly wig on, which is also how everyone
she
else
looks
on the
like
station
somebody
looks.
left. She looks like someone left Betty White out in the sun too long. Like,
don't leave Betty White out of the sun. Wait, is Betty White still alive?
No, Betty White's dead. No, looks like Betty White now.
Oh God.
I hate that.
So like,
it's awful.
So okay, so like
this
scene fucking bothered me because it's like she's trying to like have like a heart to heart with Data. She's just like, listen, like, I know I've said some things in the past and like but you gotta go and you gotta do this thing for me or whatever. And
well, Pulaski's like, oh, you're not so bad for a roid. Oh, sorry, I know it's not politically correct to say roid. You're not so bad for one of you people. Now get out of here. It's a heartfelt moment between the two of them.
Yeah.
So they beam Data back on board, and okay, that seems also a little irresponsible. But maybe now that they know that it's antibodies, now they can actually screen against it because they're like, oh, it's 0 life forms detected, and they're like, okay, cool. They bring Data on board, who's not alive, proven by the transporter.
Before Pulaski like says her goodbye to Data, she's just like, because she's like, like, hey, it's up to you to go and tell the Enterprise, what happened here, what you saw, and let them know that I'm gonna die happy because I did what I did as a doctor. And Data, one more thing. She just hucks a pocket refrigerator magnet at him again, just for one last time.
Just says fuck you, and then just fucking dies.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna desperately try to make contact with the TNG edit guy. Like, I've got an idea that'll remake your career. I'm sorry that you got banned on the internet for daring to put clips of Star Trek into a YouTube short. But Picard's like, okay, can we get Pulaski's DNA sample? He's still on this shit about like remaking her with the transporter. Can we get a DNA sample? I'm talking to your old captain. I'm looking. There's any blood tests on board. Oh, Starfleet Medical isn't getting back to us because we're too far away. And this is still like the most fucking amazing thing anyone's ever proposed with the transporter. It's like, oh yes, would you like to be young again? Did you get transported in your youth? Well, we can just remake you. We can remake you better than you were before. So they're trying to find a fucking single cell of Pulaski's DNA. Riker and Data go back into the place, and they're looking into her quarters, looking for like, any DNA that she may have left behind. So they're like looking under things, like they're like a fingernail, a loose tooth, whatever, anything. It's like, what?
Is there a puddle of blood around somewhere?
Any puddles of blood? Quickly swab that toilet. we gotta find something. So you think they'd immediately try to go for the hairbrush, but they're like, okay, I gotta look under the computer. I'm gonna look over near the bed. So Riker starts going through like her underwear drawer for a little bit, and then they lift up her brush, and Data like carefully extracts one hair from it, and it's like, it's a follicle. We got this. And just the idea that in an emergency situation they can just grab a follicle of someone's hair and then rebuild their DNA, curing them of this lethal illness. This is so not canon. This is so retcon. This is retcon to fucking hell and back.
I was really hoping that like Pulaski was gonna die here and they were gonna bring back Crusher. Like I was like, oh, this is sick. Like this is gonna be fucking great. Like they just this is how you get rid of a fucking character. Like you just.
I mean, this would be a good one for her to go out on too, because just like Tasha, like she gets some fucking last minute character development. It's like, you're so good at your job, you're just so good at your job. It should be a shame if you ironically died trying to apply your craft. But no, okay, she's fine. It works. She's young again. We don't know if she's actually still carrying the antibodies, but like it's okay, whatever. She's afraid of the transporter, just like Bones from the original series.
Yeah.
It's great. Now, what if Bones was a lady? Boom, and more racist. And Bones was already pretty racist.
I mean, she's not wrong with her concerns, like, because it's just like, once again, like, if she's transported if her matter is all jumbled up, and like if they can just like recreate her good DNA from old DNA just laying around, like what does that say for the self? That's
any anxiety with the transporter is never like in the like actual functioning mechanism of how the transporter works, and that it doesn't move you from one place to another. It destroys you and remakes you. But then they establish over and over again that that's also not the case, but then they establish that kind of is the case in episodes like this, and then but the philosophical implications are literally only brought up in an episode of fucking Enterprise where the transporter was just developed, and there's this genius scientist who's the person that invented the fucking transporter to begin with, and he's complaining about people scolding him about the transporter. And the only mention of that we ever get is like, and then there's those whack jobs that wonder if the person who beams the board is even the same person. How crazy is that? I promise you right now, that is the fucking only time it's ever brought up. and this is so personal to me, because the idea of the transporter like literally gave me a fucking crisis. Like well, you know what? I want to talk about this, but let's wrap up the episode real quick, because Pulaski is fine. Hooray! They now have a way. They now have the recipe for forever youth by just using the transporter to remake someone from when they were younger. But that doesn't work like that apparently. Okay, so now they're able to cure everyone. Yay! So can they go back to those people that had already died of this illness that were on the cargo ship that they saw in the beginning? Do you remember that, audience? They saw a cargo ship in the beginning, and they were all old and dead. they looked like a skin tag, like Brian.
You remember? Yeah, the humans did skin tag captaining the USS Landry. Poor Captain Taloka, also known as Captain Skin Tag.
Captain Skin Tag. He not only looked like a skin tag, he did genuinely have a lot of skin tags. I think
he just had a ton. They put so many skin tags on.
It's a very poignant observation.
He's old and dying. Give him a lot of a lot of weird moles.
He didn't know that they didn't know that. If only he knew that he could achieve permanent youth in the same way that I do by just ripping any skin tag I get off with my fucking fingers.
Yeah, you know,
it works. Hey,
if you fuck with it for long enough, it'll fall off on its own.
so they cured it. They cured everyone, so they cured everyone of the disease on the station. Thank goodness. Now they can go back to their eugenics experiment. They're the dumbest eugenics experiments ever conceived of.
Thank God.
Yeah, so you think like, oh well, surely if you're just remaking someone based upon like some fucking DNA sample that you got a while ago, can't you just go? It doesn't really. Why does it matter if they're alive? Can't you go to one of these fucking decayed corpses and just bring them back as well through the exact same mechanism that you just did 100 times? But no. Apparently not. There's a solemn moment as they approach the ship. The little quarantine sirens go off, and then they just all stand at respect, and then they launch a fucking photon torpedo and blow it to fucking
blow
hell.
It the fuck up.
Just boom! They're all just standing like honorably on the bridge, and they just like fire the photon torpedo, just explode it. Like, Jesus Christ! You think there'd be more of like a controlled way of doing that than just blasting it with a fucking photon torpedo? But no, they blast it with a photon torpedo. And then my and episode ends. It's very solemn, and as Zod said, Picard does the engage, and he does a little like finger twist. It's like bam. And then I have a note where I'm continuing to complain about the fucking the immune system of the kids because it's stupid.
Just a lot of stupid shit. I mean, hey, there's a lot I liked about this episode. Like the pacing was good from like a filmmaking perspective and all of that. It's like very fun to watch, and a lot of times it feels compelling. There's a lot of stuff happening. You're engaged, but like also just like plot hole city, fucking
junk science. Even
junk
bad
science,
for Star Trek's actually usually pretty good about that stuff, but it's really bad occasionally, like in this episode.
Hello? Okay,
Hello?
you can hear me. Oh, you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. Are you muted?
No, my computer fucking crashed.
Weird.
No, I was trying to say before, when like you were getting to the point where it's just like, oh, were they gonna dignify these people by trying to figure out a way to bring them back to life? Like, no, they weren't. They blew them the fuck up. But do you remember? Do you remember when of course you remember the episode where like we made the joke of like scooping that one like just like the gut, like the goop that Riker and Picard turned the like alien possessed dude into when they shot him in the ass or whatever.
Oh yeah, they could have brought him back too.
Yeah. Remember when we made the joke like there was somebody that they just like scooped up into, like they just have like some ensign like just like scoop him into a wheelbarrow and just like dump him on the fucking teleporter platform, and they're just like, oh, here you go.
Yeah,
we need the commander back.
Yeah,
they literally could do that. They could literally do that.
Definitely, it's nothing. You could bring anyone back as long as you have like a fucking follicle of their hair.
and some vessel, some sort of vessel, yeah.
Or not. Who knows?
Who knows? That's true. Where Picard didn't have a
Picard.
vessel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
so what
Yeah,
the fuck
this is fucking wild. I hate that. If it's sitting on your your lunch break and just getting like a ham sandwich out of the replicator, and you're just like, am I more real than this ham and cheese?
so
what exists truly here?
So the existential. So I legitimately had an existential crisis that was inspired by the transporter, which is also a shame that they don't really. There's a few people, like we'll get to Barclay eventually. He's a fan favorite character, one of my favorites certainly as well.
Very fun. Very fun.
He's afraid of the transporter, and they do it better. But it's never about the philosophical implications of the transporter. It's always about the technical specificities of like potential things that can go wrong with the transporter, and so understanding the transporter as something that destroys you, copies you, and then rebuilds you elsewhere. My answer is no, that is not you. That is not your continuous being. You have been killed and destroyed. Think about it like this: if we were standing in a room and then suddenly right next to you, there is now a perfect copy of you are copied, every single thing, all of your memories, every little tiny bit of conceivable data that is you is now recreated into another being that's standing right next to you, and I shoot you in the fucking face. Are you still alive? No, you're dead. There's just a perfect copy of you, but you are dead. And it's the same thing with the transporter. The transporter kills you, records your information, and then fucking rebuilds you later. But then I kind of went off on that. I kind of went a little nuts on that. I started thinking, well, isn't that kind of what happens anyway? Like, as you just go through life, because you're not the same person at any moment.
We are all just ships of Theseus, right?
You beat me to it.
Yeah,
the himbo gets one. Let's go.
Finally, the jocks will one day rule the world. The reign of the nerds is soon to pass.
Pulling up the scoreboard. One.
But so at any moment, like when you lose, like, and in my mind specifically, is that when you lose like the thing that you're thinking of right at that moment, the person that you were on a very technical level, because you are only whatever you are at that moment. And I still believe this, by the way. And then the moment that you are in another state, in another place, in another any kind of meaningful change to your being, you fucking die. You're gone. That's it. And so that kept me from sleeping, and it really kept me like engaged, because the permanent sensation of you as a being is when you sleep, which is the single most significant point at which your consciousness shifts from one thing to another. So I tried to not dream. I tried to be thinking of something right when I go to sleep, and then right when I wake up thinking of the same thing, which is something that still happens to me quite frequently. And I got so anxious about this for I don't even know how long this was, and must have been like 13, 14 at this time. I was having so much trouble sleeping. I was freaking out about this constantly. In my mind, you whenever you go to sleep, you die, and a stranger wakes up in your body thinking they're you.
Dope.
Yeah.
Well, whoever's in here now, whoever's in there tomorrow. It sucks to be them.
Yeah, for real. for real. Fuck. Yeah, that's why when I talk about like future Eric and past Eric, I'm kind of being serious, because I didn't like resolve this like thing. Like I still just believe this. I wholeheartedly believe all of these things that I just said. And so how did I possibly live with myself going forward? I just became okay with dying. I became okay with dying every single day. I no longer fear death, because in my mind I have died countless times, and I will die countless more times. The being that I am now will cease to exist, and I must make myself in a series of Erics that exist throughout the span of my life. I have to simply just add my contribution to this collection of beings that exist in countless forms going forward into the future, and I am the predecessor of countless ones that have come before. And you think that'd be really great for my productivity, and it kind of was, because I would refuse to sleep until I wrote another page of my book or accomplished some other milestone. But increasing stress and ADHD, and this is not the healthiest thing to think, really started causing me to be even more self-critical about my procrastination, because I'm failing the continuation of the beings that are Eric. What's going on?
Eric,
I'm fucking up here forever, and
Eric?
I'm dead.
Eric,
Yes,
it's fine. You're here. You're here. All these
But I
squares
won't
make a
be.
circle.
I won't, but I won't be very
Totally
soon.
fine. You
Don't look at yourself in the mirror. Don't look at yourself.
don't look at yourself in the
Don't look
mirror.
at yourself in the mirror.
Oh, that's
I
not a
think,
problem.
I think you need. I think you
Fire's
need
hot.
to yeah. I think you need.
Do
I
some
think you
grounding
need some
exercises.
I think you need a journey. All right. I think you need to take yourself out into the desert in some fashion.
I'm very, what, actually, that also gives me some anxiety about losing control of myself, at any point, through drinking or taking any kind of psychoactive substances, that that changes who I am. If I change who I am, I die. I don't want to die, but I also kind of get anxiety about not being in control of my body at any point. So I've never partaken. I've never had an interest in partaking. I don't drink. I don't smoke. and
No transporter for Eric.
Absolutely no transporter for Eric. No.
you're taking a shuttle everywhere.
I may be content with the whole the journey from one self to another self at infinite moments in time, but am I comfortable? Am I equally comfortable with the scenario where another version of me is created right next to me and then someone shoots me in the head? No, I'm not comfortable with that. I do not view that as the same thing. The transporter, if you don't subscribe to my same fucking psychotic philosophy here, you should definitely understand that perfect recreation of you is not you. It is another physical being that exists apart and independent from you from the moment of its existence, and you are dead. So even though it is a perfect recreation of you, it is not you. It's in any way. And that's
One time I was
Future is
thinking
wacky.
One time I was thinking about the metaphysical reality, and I thought it was an orb.
Mm-hmm.
I took
Great
mushrooms
keyboard.
a couple times. That was cool.
Yeah, maybe
God.
maybe doing mushrooms or taking acid one time or something would solve every single thing that's wrong with me. But then also,
It might make
no.
everything worse too. So you don't
exactly.
know.
What if it fucks me up? And I'm also a hypochondriac. That's another thing too. So what if it kills me? What if I die? What if it permanently changes my brain and I am meaningfully a different person? What if that happens? I don't want to die.
Well, you wouldn't know. Isn't that great?
No.
Congratulations, folks! If you made it this far into the episode, this is the last time. This is the last one.
Don't worry. Once you all are listening to this, I will be a brand new person, as I am at every point in my life, and everyone else is as well. Hopefully, I didn't change anyone's perspective on reality there. I think I'm the only one that has this particular psychosis, but if I permanently damaged you, just become comfortable with dying. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Become comfortable with contributing to or just being part of the continuation of beings that are you going into the future. It's actually fine. You'll freak out about it and not sleep properly for only like 6 months, and then you'll be fine. So there you go.
You'll be fine.
So
Da, 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 da.
well, first let's do our little thing. We had a planned bit where we were going to do a Patreon mailbag, but instructions were unclear, and no one responded to the post. Double checking here, yeah, no one responded to the post. So we'll have to try that one again. So if you're a member of our Patreon and our first like active like Patreon reward, besides getting access to the Patreon content that we have on there, the new first episode, or perhaps even episode 0 of Left Trek After Dark will be done soon, hopefully. And so there's wonderful things for that. But another perk is that you want to ask us a question, you want to tell us anything, you want to well, I give a whole spiel about it on the thing, but sign up for our Patreon. I'll be putting up a Patreon mailbag, and we'll at the closing of the show, we'll take questions or emails or whatever. Maybe you're gonna have to tell me if you'd rather like email the Left Trek account, or if you'd rather just like comment it, like how do you want them to be? Well, it'll be a Patreon reward, so you just comment on the post, and then we'll answer your things. I'll put up another one after this one. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want to be featured on the show in the form of one of your little messages to us, you wanted to say thanks and tell us we're doing a great job, go ahead and sign on to.
You want to add to Eric's existential fucking mind flaying of themselves, go ahead, send that in too.
Yeah, if you can figure out a way to mind flame me, then you mind flame me further than I have been mind flayed, you go right ahead and give it a try. And by the way, we're back at the highest level of Patreon that we've ever had. Thanks, folks. It's great. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, please.
Hell yeah, that's sick.
Please continue to support us. We'd love to actually start like paying ourselves. we are just now finally over the overhead of my fucking SoundCloud premium subscription that allows me to upload as much shit as I want. It's like, it's $12 a month, and I've had it from the very beginning.
we're finally at a net zero operating cost, no longer in the red.
Well, we're still in the red, but shit. We're in the red, but now, like, on a monthly basis, we're in the green. We just got some debts to pay back.
Yeah, and one day maybe we'll have this on your favorite podcasting platform, and
Yes, coming to Spotify soon, TM. I know Spotify is doing like a big podcast push. We should definitely be a part of that. The only reason we haven't done it is because of me and my many failings. Well, let's rate the episode real quick. Brian, please rate it out of 3 desiccated old people on the bridge of a rickety cargo ship.
I'm gonna give it 2. Captain Skintag and the pilot on the right there.
I see.
Yeah.
Zots, please rate this out of 14 trillion antibodies moving throughout your system, trying to make you better, but in the process increasing you to 50 years old. Da da da.
6.
6 out of 14 trillion. one of the lowest scores ever given by anyone to anything.
Because it was a Pulaski episode, and I can't fucking stand.
Oh wait, was it 6 or was it 6 trillion?
6.
6 out of 14 trillion. Well, I think that's pretty unfair. I think that's pretty unfair.
Fuck that. Justice for Data. No, I refuse to stand with any fucking bigot. No, absolutely not.
There you go.
I would have let her fucking let her rot on that fucking ship with all the rest of those old people.
True. I can't. I feel bad giving one to myself. Ryan, can you give me a rating system?
Out of 7 adult children playing 3D chess, how do you rate the episode?
1. I really didn't like this one.
Oh.
I really did not like this one.
Yeah.
I don't think I mentioned, like, I mean, I guess I was complaining about like the science, and those are kind of nerd like questions. But they do. I mean, that kind of stuff does genuinely like bother me when there's just stupid shit that happens in one of these fucking episodes. I do get nerd rage. But this one also just sucked. It was boring. I think it was poorly written. There wasn't any like good scene chewing. There were no good lines. It really felt season 1 in the worst way. It wasn't like actively offensive, but just like the conceit of the episode and like the really poorly the really poorly like plotted out screenplay that not screenplay, sorry, really poorly plotted out a script for this episode. A lot of like backward storytelling. I didn't like it. Yeah, 1 out of 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's me. And I guess we'll close on this little factoid. Chief O'Brien was actually a last-minute episode to the teleplay. Oh, it's a teleplay. It's not a screenplay. There we go. Originally, the story featured a young engineering genius named Rena, whose beauty caused male colleagues to repeatedly experience pratfalls, which led to a romantic subplot with Geordie LaForge. A showrunner, Maurice Hurley, found the character obnoxious and deleted her when he rewrote the teleplay, replacing her with Colm. Did I not know Chief O'Brien's name? His name is. For some reason I thought his name was Cole McConnor. I don't know why. Probably because I'm racist. But racist against white people. But no, his name's Colm Meaney.
It's Meanie. It's Colm Meanie.
Fuck.
It's just Meanie.
Fuck. Oh fuck.
Meanie.
I'm sorry, Ireland. Oh god, is he even Irish?
Colm. Wait,
is it until then name? Oh, he didn't get actually named O'Brien until this episode. That's fascinating.
Oh, that's funny.
But I think this episode for me would have gone from a 1 to a 7 out of 7 real quick if there was just a transporter operator that was so hot. All the people on the Enterprise would just be doing pratfalls. Like,
it would be funny, but I also think I'd hate it. You know,
I want to see Riker just looking at her ass, and he runs into like a telephone pole that's just for some reason just sticking out of the corridor. Okay.
Let's go.
That's Left Track, everyone. Subscribe to us on Patreon.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.